Throwback Thursday. This is a little series that I try to do a couple times a month where I pull an older but beautiful collection out of my stash and use it to create something new and fresh. So it's just designed to encourage us to dig into what I call my closet of shame and pull out stuff that's languishing in the dark and put it to good use. So this time I am working with Carta and Vogue collection, and I just think this is charming. This came out, I want to say in 2019, and it's just got a delightful theme. I love the colors, I love the vintage fashion images, all of it. I just think it's beautiful. So I haven't even cut into this one. Isn't that terrible? You know how you buy a collection and then you just get busy? Well, that's kind of what happened to me. So we're going to work with this today, and I thought we would start by creating a slimline card. So the first thing we're going to do is make our card base, and I want this to be a slimline card, and you'll see why. But I'm going to score this at 3.5. Then I'm going to come over 1/4 of an inch and score it at 3 3/4. I'm going to fold this on the score line because I don't feel like doing fractions this morning, and I'm going to score it at 3.5 and 3 3/4. And then I want to mark it, let's say 5.5, and I'm going to cut this off in my paper trimmer. So once you've scored your paper along those lines, and again, I'll give you the measurements. We're going 3.5, then we're going over 1/4 of an inch, we're going another 3.5, we're going over another 1/4 of an inch, and then we're cutting it off so that we have a pocket that is just 1 3/4 inches deep. You're going to fold on those score lines. And then I like to cover these spines, but it was really hard to cut paper that would fit. So I got into my washi tape, and as you can see, I just laid it along the spine, and then it goes along below. This is great because it means the paper is going to hold it in place. So then on the inside of the card, you're going to cut liners that are 3.5 by 8.5 of the black, 3 3/8 by 8 3/8 of the Tiffany blue, and then you want to go 3 1/4 by 8 1/4. Let me just double check myself. Yes, of a patterned paper. Now I've cut this one the wrong way, so don't judge me. It's hard to think and talk and work and tape and everything else at the same time. So that's this. And then you want to go ahead and line this one as well. And this one doesn't matter as much because the pocket is going to cover up most of it. So as long as you go with your patterned paper to be about, I don't know, say 2 inches wide, you're good. But again, I did 8.5 for the height on the black, and then 8 3/8 for the height on the Tiffany blue, and 8 1/4 for the height on the stripe. Then here, which this is becomes the pocket, I did 2 rows of this washi tape, and then I cut the black paper to the 8.5 and put that down, and I went ahead and cut a 1 3/8 inch by 8 3/8 inch piece of this patterned paper, and that's going to go on our pocket. So we've got this gold here and we've got the gold here. It's just really a cool look. Now, building this box pocket, go ahead and cut, well, I just actually scored. I went 1/2 inch, 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 inch, and then we're just going to fold these along those scored lines. Just like this. And with our pocket flap open, we're going to put adhesive on one side, and we're going to line this up along the edge. And this is just a scrap piece that was left over from having cut the pocket. And I can see I'm going to have to trim this just a little bit, but I'm not going to worry about that right at this moment. So see, you just fold along these scored lines, and I left 1/2 inch flaps just because it's easier to hold on to and work with, frankly. So line this up right along the edge, but don't go over the edge because you don't want this to be seen. And this one is short and this one is long. Well, go figure. Oh, that's because I went, you would think it was a Monday, but it's not. I went over the fold. Duh, I know better than that. So I'm actually going to put my adhesive. I've got really bright lights on when I tape, and honestly, sometimes they just about blind me. But otherwise, I find that the video is too dark for you guys. So I suffer for my art. All right, now that's right. We've got that lined up. Good gracious sakes. Okay, and then I'm just going to trim this off here. And I'm also going to trim it off here because we don't want any of that little box pocket mechanism to show. Now we're going to put our adhesive on this flap. And we're going to put our adhesive on this flap. And now we can just fold this shut and adjust on each side so that we're straight and even. That one looks really good. This one not so much. We're going to adjust this one a little bit more. But see, you want it to be square. Oops. You want it to be square. All right, so I think these are good. Now that I've got them positioned where I want them, I'm just going to take a bone folder. Just double check one last time. See, this one shifted. They're sneaky. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to press this one in place with my bone folder. And this is just 1/4 inch deep. You could go deeper. You could make bigger spines. I just wanted something small this time. This will hold tea bags or a little Ghirardelli chocolate, or you can put a gift card in there. All right. So this, now we have it. And this pocket is deep enough that stuff's not going to fall out if you're worried. That's why I went 2. If you're worried about that, go ahead and take it up to, let's see. Take it up to be, well, I've got it at 1 3/4. Go ahead and take it up to 2 inches if you're worried about things falling out. But I have not found this to be a problem. All right, now put this aside and build the cover. And for the cover, I have a 3.5 by 8.5 piece of black. And same thing, I've got a 3 3/8 by 8 3/8 of the Tiffany blue, and then 3 by 8 of this Eiffel Tower toile. Is that how you pronounce it? Mary H., you can help me out with the pronunciation of that because I'm pretty sure you will know. So just line this up. And then I cut of this pretty kind of Tiffany blue pattern, 2.5 by 7, and I do want to mat this on black cardstock. So for those of you who wonder how I do this, I am lazy. Truth, this is the truth. I am lazy. So I like to actually glue it down first. Now you could measure and all of that. And when I do tutorials, I usually do. But this is just Throwback Thursday. We're just being casual. We're all friends here. And this goes in my cutter. Actually, I like to do it this way because I've got a mark on the cutter that I know by heart. So do you see how I've got just this little itty tiny bit here coming below my paper cutter guard? That's usually perfect. That's usually the perfect spot to make my cut. All right, so now you know my deep dark secret here. And I want to position this over toward the left, and you'll see why in a minute. Just like this. Oops. And straight is always good. Straight is always a good idea. Now, I have this pretty jade satin ribbon. I'm trying to make sure if this is straight. And I'm going to run my score tape so they just have a tiny little border of our Tiffany blue showing. Then I'm going to run my jade satin just like that. And I left the tails long, and you'll see why in a minute. And this is how I store my ribbon. I cut pieces of mat board that you can get at a frame shop. You can also buy it at Michael's. And I cut it to about 1 1/4 by 3 1/4, and I wrap my ribbon around it. And then I use a pin to hold it in place, and Really Reasonable Ribbon labels their colors, so I know what I'm working with. And this one is, I believe, Nile Blue Crosshatch. And I'm going to go off center with this. And then layer this over the top. Now you can pick this up and wrap the ends around the back, and you have a beautiful, neat edge, which is really important because when ribbon frays, it is not pretty. All right, now this is Rene Bouquet's Eiffel Tower Beautiful board. And I wanted this right here. And then I had an image. Oh, hold on. Here it is. Yes, and this also needs to be matted. All right, so now we're ready to start having fun with this card. And I just double matted one of my little 3x4 images. And I want it double matted because it really helps it stand out. So I'm going to put this down at an angle, I think right about here. This is Rene Bouquet Beautiful board. This is her Eiffel Tower. And this is why I went with a slimline card. And you can see this is how it comes with the ivory, which is beautiful, but because it's the Eiffel Tower, I wanted it to be black. So I heat embossed it with aged black embossing enamel from Stampendous. And the tip for this is always shake this stuff before you sprinkle it on your project. Because as you can see, I hope, there's little flecks of gold in there. And it just makes a beautiful finish. So we're going to put adhesive along this in strategic places. And then I'm going to put it so that the feet are touching the bottom, just touching the bottom of our Tiffany blue panel. And the tower goes up like this. So you can still see Ooh La La and all these wonderful macarons, but then you've got your Eiffel Tower here. Then another piece of Renee Bouquet Beautiful Board is this Happy Birthday. So this I heat embossed, same way, with the aged gold from Stampendous. And I love the vintage finish that you get with these embossing powders. They're among my favorites. So we're going to overlap this on the tower, just like this. And we're going to be real gentle with that until it sets up. I have these little birdie Fiona ivory roses. And I like the creamy ivory color of these. And we're going to lay these down. Well, first we're going to put down a little bit of foliage. And I like to tear these. I don't want them this long for this particular card. So this one's going to go right here. And then I'm going to take this one and I'm going to put it right here. Like this. Because I think this is how I'm going to want this to be. Now I'm going to come in with my glue gun. And I'm going to put the biggest rose down first. And I want it right here. Just like that. Then this one is slightly smaller. Ooh, that glue is hot. And I'm going to kind of scrunch this and tuck it in. Oops, see, that's what I was afraid of. All right, carefully tuck that in while I'm holding the Happy Birthday in place. All right. I need to adjust this one just a little bit so it doesn't cover up my Happy Birthday. There we go. All right. And then the smallest one is going to get tucked in up at the top. Just like that. Then I tied a triple loop bow with our Nile blue ribbon. And I've put my hot glue on the knot. And I'm going to push this into the rose cluster. Like this. And I'm just going to hold it there and let it set and let everything set and get happy. Okay. Then I can adjust my loops. I call this fussing the bow. Okay. And I also tied a little bow with black twine. I'm just going to tuck that in there as well. Okay. And then last but not least, this is a little fancy clock charm from Butterbee Scraps. And I'm going to lay it right here so that it sort of meets everything and the eye stays all in this general area. All right, guys, we're on the home stretch. Let me bring in the cover of this card. I just had one little detail I wanted to add. I took this little sticker. I just wanted to balance it. It looked a little out of balance, and adding this there to me helps us to be more balanced. So I have this itty bitty black key. I'm going to put just a tiny spot of hot glue right there. And I want to dangle this key from that spot. And then, oh no, did I lose? I tied a teeny tiny bow to go like this. I'm just going to let that set up for a minute. Trim the tails, and to me that just finishes that off. So we're going to set this aside. All right, let's go to work on the inside. I need to fix this boo-boo that I made here. So this piece of paper is 4 by 2 1/8. It was a scrap. And I scored 1/2-inch flaps on the sides and the bottom. And those of you who follow me know that we're making a pocket because pockets are fun and they work. And people love pulling things out of pockets. So we fold on these flaps, bring in our adhesive, put a little dot here, put a little dot here, fold these flaps over. Then I had this little piece of paper, which needs to be trimmed down just a skosh. See if that's right. Yep. I scored a little, it was a little tall, so rather than cut it, I just scored a flap to create this really cute cuffed pocket. And now we're going to adhere this over this piece of black, just like that. And I found another scrap of black, and this is about 3 1/4 by about 4 3/4. So I'm going to bring in my bonbon paper. I'm going to glue this down. Right here in the center, so you can see the bonbons above and below. And I'm going to glue my pocket right here. And now this becomes a gift card pocket. So you can put a little gift card in there. And then over here, we're going to make these little treat folios. So I found a black piece of paper on my desk that I cut to 4 1/4 by just about 8 and scored it at 3 1/4 and 6 1/2. And then this becomes a little folio. So we're going to take a little strip of paper and just make gussets so that it will hold better. So trim one here. I'm actually going to need 4 of these. I'm just going to fold these in half, just like that. The folded side goes against the open edge. So this turns this into a little birthday present. Fold this over. Then I cut a little piece of our rose patterned paper go on the flap like that. And then a piece of this stripe to go here. Then on the cover, we want to put our dress mannequins matted on this blue, and I cut this to, the blue is 3 by 4. Make sure I've got this right. Yep. So this is slightly smaller than that. And this goes right here. And we can look through our sticker sheet in a minute and pick something out to go there. We're going to do the exact same thing here. So we have these 2 little folios. And I'm going to put a chocolate in this one. And then tea bags in this one. Look at this cool tea that my daughter gave me. It's in a clear, it looks very Parisian to me. So these fit perfectly inside our little box pocket. Look at that. Snug as a bug in a rug. Now, to finish this off over here, I die cut this oval. And this is going to go right in the center here. Then this is a little border strip that I just cut. Oops, I want the orange side down. Right across the middle. And then our little Je t'aime sticker over that. Room for a gift card here. Now, I'm going to lay this flat because it's easier to work. All we have to do is glue our cover on. And this is cut to fit perfectly. So we just line it up, glue it down. And this is what I do over here. You can just come in. Uh-oh. We good? Okay. I'm going to put this right here. I should have done this before I glued it on, but I forgot, honestly. I don't like the bare back side of the card showing. I'm going to trim this out. See, that fits right in there, nice as you please. I kind of wish I'd done it this way. I think I can do it that way though. Trim this little bit off the front. La voila! There we are, my friends. Our little Paris themed Slimline birthday wallet. And it is fun. It's really fun. So, all right, guys, Throwback Thursday, Kathy Clement, Kathy by Design. If you would do me a favor and like this video, it lets YouTube know that I'm a good channel to watch, and it helps me grow my channel. And if you haven't subscribed, subscribe to the subscribe button and click on the bell, and you'll get a notification every time I put up a new post so you don't miss out on any of the fun. All right, guys, go make the world more beautiful one card at a time. Kathy Clement, Kathy by Design. I'm going to go get my craft on. Bye.